Yes, my people, as the hot, it don't happen. No, Tinubu has done it again. Now, he go do this one for family as. Tinubu told say, "Una if be student, una go study for 8 years. I don't know whether he want turn all the courses to 8 years. I don't know." We are not talk too much. I want to show that one video. This is the one expose who Tinubu really be, and I go want make una share this video so that our northern brothers and sisters they go see this video. Our eastern brothers and sisters, all of them, in fact, the entire Nigeria go see this video. Please share this video. This video now want expose the Tinubu way people they say don't want vote for. Look una watch and I believe say now this one now make some element for Aso Rock. No one make Tinubu win this election. Watch it and share it. In fact, comment your opinion today. I go reply comment. Una comment.
But there was a day I was listening to him and he said, look, my handlers have warned me to stay on the script. I remember on the 5th of November 1990, you know, Mr. Oyakilome, the chairman of NDLA at that time in 1990, he said drug barons may determine Nigeria's political future. This is a man, I'll say, this is the man who saw tomorrow. You understand me? And it is left for Nigerians not to allow the sale of tramadol on the streets of Nigeria by allowing certain characters to come near office, the office of president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And that is why, you see, these miscues are not normal. It is created content for skit makers, content for comedians. The candidate of the APC can favorably compete with the likes of Sabinus and other comedians in this country. Because each time he speaks, and when I listen to some of the characters who call themselves spokespersons around him, come on national television to embarrass us, embarrass Nigeria. It's not just about us. We are worried for Nigeria. It's about the image of Nigeria. It was sad enough when he went to Chatham House and he was delegating questions and distributing questions to his aides and said he believed in teamship. It smacks of wretched illiteracy.
Right.
You cannot say you want to be president of Nigeria and you do not want to subject yourself to an interview. You cannot go for a job employment without an interview. So you want an automatic employment without an interview. And that cannot happen. Now, in the circumstance, this excuse, as I've always said and I've said consistently, look, there's what we call dysarthria. And I would like you to maybe call any speech therapist of your choice. And I know that by reputation, I know that you spent a good part of your time outside Nigeria. You should be able to cross-fertilize ideas with some of your colleagues out there. Dysarthria is not something abnormal, but it's something that has to do with one's mental, one's nervous system. And when there is a disconnect between the nervous system, between the brain, the mouth, the jaw, and the lips. Are you with me? Particularly when a man means maybe he has an idea of what he wants to say. But each time he opens his mouth to say something, there is a disconnect. Now, I cannot understand in 2023 that a man who is seeking the highest office in the land, in one breath he talked about Bulaba, Bala Blue. Before the people recover from that, he said he was going to turn a writing situation into a bad one. You understand me? And from there, he will move to other things, referring to a governor a man who was aspiring to be governor of Delta, said he was going to be governor of Niger Delta State. Now, today, he has christened Atiku Abubakar as someone he made Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's a man who has never contested elections as into the legislative.
Right. Well, let's take these things one after the other.
Yes.
I mean, because the APC say all this is just malicious tittle-tattle, an attempt to stop their candidate, which will not work. Now, the point that is being made is that there are a lot of people who have run for president. I was discussing this with one of our analysts yesterday. A lot of people who've run for president who make a lot of bloopers and gaffes. I mean, if you look at President Joe Biden in America, I mean, there's an article I was reading, he is just gaffes all the way. If you look at George W. Bush, who was considerably younger, he made a lot of gaffes. If you look at Ronald Reagan, but if you look at the track record of some of these people, certainly people like Ronald Reagan, they're considered one of the most successful presidents in American history.
These circumstances are different. So the kind of gaps you're talking about, you see, these are books, these are but a lot I have read about before.
But a lot of those gaps are also associated with the aging process.
No, this one has nothing to do. This one is not even associated with age.
But they still manage to run their country successfully.
Dysarthria has nothing to do with age. Even a 10-year-old can have dysarthria. It has nothing to do with age. Instead, it has to do with sometimes, particularly maybe substance abuse in whatever form. I may not know what he ingests or what he takes. But the issue is simple. I know that some of us had the privilege of listening to him some years ago while he was governor. Today, as we speak, he is not mentally fit to be president of Nigeria.
But on what basis do you make that?
No,
on the basis of the bloopers he's made? Because you haven't seen any medical report that tells you that he's not mentally capable.
You have listened to this man.
I've listened to him. Most of what he says makes sense, and then he makes a mistake.
No. Wait. With profound respect to you, what is the meaning? Since most of what he says makes sense, what is the meaning of bulaba balablu?
Well,
if you can tell me, with profound respect.
Yeah, well, you're asking me a question.
I'm asking you a question,
and I want a direct answer. I'm not a spokesman for the APC.
No, but you just told me that most of the things he says make sense.
What I'm saying is this: if you take a speech, or a rally that he is at and where he's been speaking for 10 minutes.
He has never spoken for 10 minutes.
I'm just giving you an example, okay? 5 minutes, 3 minutes, out of that time that he speaks, maybe, and it's not every single time, but there have been times, and obviously because we're media, we jump at it. Let me just make the point. If you look at some of that, out of that 5 minutes, you may have, for example, when he said we made him Senate President, I mean, that was literally 3 seconds, 3 words per second. That's how we calculated in broadcasting. So that's literally 2 seconds at the most out of everything he said. Okay? What I'm trying to understand...
And he needed someone beside him to tell him that Atiku was never Senate
but it happens. Sometimes people make slips.
Slips, with profound respect to you, Charles. With profound respect to you. I asked you a question and I never got an answer, particularly as it relates to the meaning, because you said most of what, when you say most of, with profound respect to you, please. So that interjections like this will not allow me flow, and our viewers will not be able to connect with our flow of conversation. Now the issue is simple. When we use most of means a majority of whatever he says makes sense. And I put it to you, sir. While speaking in Calabar, the video I just watched, he insulted other candidates for a few minutes, for 1 or 2 minutes, made his blunder, and it ended there. Because that's all he does. He climbs the podium, it's unpresidential. I'm not sure you have any video clip anywhere since the 2023 campaign started where you will see Atiku Abubakar on the podium or any platform insulting or casting aspersions on Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Atiku Abubakar is aware that Bola Ahmed Tinubu forfeited $460,000 to the US government on a heroin trafficking case. He has never mentioned it. He is aware too, Atiku Abubakar, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, is aware too that Alpha Beta Consulting, owned by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with profound respect, transferred money, wired money on the 18th of March 2015 to the tune of about 4.something million US dollars to one Summit Integrated Services Limited, a company owned by an unknown entrepreneur who is based in Paranquilla in Colombia. Now, Paranquilla in Colombia, for instance, Atiku is aware. He is aware too, and it is on record. It's in the public space. That Paranquilla is known to be a city that has a seaport that is notorious for the trafficking of heroin and cocaine world over. Now, for a man who just came out of what they call a dead issue relating to drug trafficking as far back as 1991, in 2015, his private company, Alpha Beta Consulting, is transferring funds to the tune of over 4.something million in 2015 to a company, a briefcase company in the United Kingdom, whose directors are based in Paranquilla, Colombia. In fact, when we went further, we discovered that the net worth of that company was not more than $50,000 US. Now, Atiku is aware of this, but he has never. Instead, he gets to the podium, he sells his programs of actions to the people. Now, when you have a candidate, you see, my people, I don't know what part of Nigeria you come from, but in the Gala Kingdom, where I come from, in Kogi State, we have a native proverb where we tell you that when a man, if you are having a conversation with a man and it starts with insult, you know that he is empty. He has nothing to say about
Okay, let me come in here because we're running out of time. So if you stay on that trajectory, we won't get to talk about a lot of other things.
It's not about trajectory, but you see, I need to bring a closure to my explanation.
But very briefly.
Yes, I will summarize. I will summarize. Now, in this circumstance, when you see when a man's gaffes and miscues are consistent and habitual, at every event, at every function, at every public event, what is what deductions do you make of it? When the same man avoids public interrogation, Arise TV, you and I know that a lot of water passed under the bridge when he was invited to come to the Arise TV town hall meeting and other town hall meetings.
Okay,
he only attends town hall meetings organized by his team.
Right. Okay.
And with a specific audience.
You've made that point.
So there is
we won't be able
something
to get to anything else.
Yes.
The point really is this.
Yes.
Okay. You've said a lot of things about him, but
yes.